Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault.
And I'm Andrew Chang. Tonight, Trump versus Biden, a last chance to see them square off for U.S. voters. Still mulling things over. We're going to break it down on this special edition of The National.
That's right, and make no mistake, the stakes are high. With 12 days to go, the polls may be pro-Joe, but remember, this time 4 years ago, the current president was being counted out. So what did viewers see and hear tonight? Well, it started with a top concern, the pandemic.
We're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace.
We're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want to talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, just
I do want to turn to
please.
10 seconds, Mr. President.
That's
10
a
seconds.
typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about North
I'm not a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
that's why I got elected.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run.
Our reporters have been watching all night. Paul Hunter and Susan Ormiston are here with context and analysis. So, Susan, let's start with you. An awful lot is riding on Trump and Biden's performances tonight. What's your sense of how it went?
Well, a complete do-over, really, compared to that last chaotic, argumentative debate 3 weeks ago, which cost Donald Trump in the polls. The president was much more disciplined. There were few interruptions. And as you just heard, coronavirus really dominated the first half hour. Trump saying the virus is going away, when in fact over 60,000 plus new cases a day here in the United States, 30% higher than 2 weeks ago. Biden hammered on that. Have a listen.
This is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter, and he has no clear plan.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you have no plan.
I don't think we're going to have a dark winter at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning.
Opening up the country, Adrienne, has been such an angry and divisive issue in America, and Trump followers are passionate about it.
So, Susan, with Trump sort of trailing Biden a bit in the polls, where was he trying to score the points tonight?
Well, he was trying to give voters a reason not to vote for Joe Biden, who has the lead. His tack, well, Biden's been a politician for 47 years, a VP for 8, and he hasn't done much. And also, without evidence, Trump claims that Biden has ties with China and he's getting rich off those kinds of things. Have a look.
I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever. Foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot.
I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia.
You've been saying for 4 years
Everybody
you're going to
knows
reduce your taxes. Nobody knows it, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes.
Finally, Adrienne, on race relations, which has been so painful again this summer, they traded barbs. Here it is.
I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He says about the poor boys. Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy has a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
Americans may have gotten the debate that they were looking for, Adrienne, finally, and it's worth mentioning that about 1/3 of Americans have already voted in early voting. It's a sliver of undecided, really, and now it's just on to this final week of this historic campaign.
All right, Susan, thanks very much. So for different perspective, let's go to Paul Hunter now, who took all of this in at a Democratic watch party in Nashville, just minutes from where the candidates were facing off. Paul, what's the reaction there after, I guess we could say, a more disciplined presidential debate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the East Nashville Beer Works, Adrian, indeed, just a few kilometers from where the debate was. And, you know, it was kind of a sedate crowd for a while. I can report that the later the debate went, the louder the cheers got. But, you know, beer tends to have that effect on people. This is, you know, Nashville is a kind of a democratic island in a sea of Republican rural Tennessee. So this was a Democratic watch party. In fact, I'm here with Lindsay Smith, who's the president of the Davidson County Young Democrats. What was your take on the debate? You were here watching it together all night. What are your thoughts?
My take on the debate was that the candidates had their last chance to actually connect with American voters. And what I saw is that Vice President Joe Biden did exactly that. He looked us in the eye and he told us that he does not see red states, he does not see blue states, he sees the United States. And I think that that united front is exactly what we want out of a leader.
It was a more controlled debate for sure, relative to the first one. What couldn't be, I suppose. What did you take away from Donald Trump tonight?
Woo! I call him Donnie the Deflector. So every single question that he was asked, you know, this is a man that has had a loose relationship with the truth from the start. And we've seen this for the past 4 years. It's the same thing. Nothing new. So yeah, I didn't see any truth coming out of him, and he deflected on every single question about China, about the economy, about his taxes. Like, enough. Like, we're done wasting like any energy on him. It's time to elect Vice President Joe Biden as the next president of the United States.
There is not much time left in this campaign. Do you think, just short answer here, you know, debates are about getting the message out, especially to undecideds. There aren't a lot of those. Very briefly, did you see anything in this debate that might win somebody over one way or the other? Did you learn anything, you know, very quickly?
Yes, absolutely. Joe Biden actually came with a policy and a plan, and he is the candidate. He showed us why he is the one who deserves to be the next president of the United States.
Not much time to go. We'll hold you to that. We'll talk I will call you in a couple of weeks and find out if you're right. Thanks, Lindsay. Adrian, and that's from the debate watch party here in Nashville.
All right, Paul Hunter. Thanks, Paul. Paul in Nashville tonight. All right, so let's bring in our U.S. political panel. Daniel McCarthy, Danielle Moody, Yasha Monk. So the last debate. Daniel McCarthy, can you start for us by writing tomorrow's headline about this debate?
Trump comeback. You know, Donald Trump did a much better job this evening than he did in the first debate. He was, you know, sort of moderating between Mike Pence's rather easygoing attitude in the vice presidential debate and his own very combative approach to the first debate. And I think that works for him. I think Donald Trump is most effective when he combines firmness with a certain respect for the rules.
So Danielle Moody, I don't think you can deny that Trump was certainly much calmer tonight. What does your headline look like?
I don't know, Adrian, when the barometer is the floor, you know, the only place that you can go is up. My headline is 220,000 Americans dead, but at least it's not 2 million, so we should celebrate.
Okay. So Yasha, you know, everyone was talking about the mute button beforehand. It doesn't sound like it was as perhaps a big a deal, just that, you know, the thought of it seemed to do enough to sort of alter the tone. But how well served do you think American voters were by this tonight, Yasha?
Well, certainly much better served than by the debate 3 weeks ago. I agree with Danielle that the standard we're starting off with is very, very low, and certainly the debate 3 weeks ago set an incredibly low standard. So today we got real exchanges of opinions. I think Americans got a real sense of where the different candidates stand. There was still, in my mind, a lot of lies being told by Donald Trump, and we shouldn't completely forget about that either. But I think people actually got to see the candidates debate about topics at a relatively in-depth level. Now, I don't think that will have changed many people's minds, because both candidates effectively avoided being attacked in a really harmful way. And so this is probably a draw, and a draw at this stage of a race is a win for Joe Biden, because it is Donald Trump who really needs to change the dynamic of a race.
So it's interesting that you say that both candidates avoided being attacked. So maybe the attacks didn't land, but they were certainly launched. We have one moment here where Trump went after Biden. Let's have a listen.
Respond, and then we're going to have follow-up
questions. If this stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race.
Okay, Daniel McCarthy, how effective do you think as a Republican it was going after Joe Biden like that, relatively personally?
You know, I think Donald Trump has been quite effective in going after Joe Biden. First of all, for the division between Biden and his party, that Joe Biden has a record that is rather different from where his party wants to go in the future. That's true on crime. It's true on foreign policy, where Biden was a supporter of the Iraq War. And it's true also when it comes to Biden's support for very tough on crime measures that put a lot of Americans in jail.
Yasha, were you expecting something different from the president on this?
No, I think I expected him to be running about the attacks he is. I think one of the interesting elements of it, though, was that the president seems to be too online. I mean, again and again in these debates, he was referring by shorthand to various accusations and various supposed scandals that people who are on Twitter all day long or people who watch Fox News all day long will instantly understand, but where I think many Americans will simply be puzzled by exactly what he was referring to. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think that Donald Trump managed to make those attacks stick.
So, Danielle, you know, this is the first time the president is debating since being hospitalized with COVID. It was kind of an interesting moment. Let's hear him talking about his own experience.
This is dangerous. And you catch it. And, you know, I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals. And now I recovered. 99.9% of young people recover. 99% of people recover.
Danielle, how did the president having COVID change the conversation for both of them tonight?
I mean, it shows his complete and total negligence for the guidelines that the CDC put in together, for the guidelines that the World Health Organization put in together. Look, we shouldn't all need to get COVID-19, right? And then be able to be cared for on the dime of the American people. Donald Trump received the best care of any person in the entire United States of America. But if you are a person that does not have health care, right, or your health care is not that good, or maybe your health care was just ended because you lost your job, you weren't going to get all of those experimental therapies that Donald Trump did on our dime in the United States. So the idea that he's going to lecture the American people and say to us that he's thankful for God for having given him COVID, right, when there are 220,000 Americans that are dead that didn't have a choice about whether or not they were going to leave their homes because they were considered essential workers. I think it is a disgrace. It is a disgrace, and he is an embarrassment. And that entire conversation that we had with regard to COVID and his response to it, given the Woodward tapes, given the fact that Donald Trump knew how dangerous COVID-19 was, but at the same time that he's receiving intel, decided to tell the American people it was a hoax for months, is an abomination, an abomination.
Daniel, I can only imagine as a Republican that you see the act of the president getting COVID and then recovering it quite differently.
Well, he showed that you can get COVID, and if you overcome it, you can return to work, you can return to normal, you can be more effective than ever, as Donald Trump is right now. You know, I think the big lie of this whole campaign has actually been this media narrative that the president is personally responsible for COVID-19, which is a disease, and for all of the deaths that it has caused. The U.S. death toll is very comparable to that of the European Union. You have U.S. states that are run by Democrats where you have the highest death tolls in the United States, and yet Donald Trump is the one who gets fingered by the media as being fully responsible for all the deaths. It's a complete lie.
Because he's the president of the United States.
Yeah,
no, in the States. Look, I mean, look, you have California.
Perhaps we need a mute button in our debate, too.
California has a slightly larger population than Canada's. California has many more deaths because of Gavin Newsom being the governor of that state.
Okay, so we're not going to litigate this here at all. But Yasha, you know, the way it dominates this conversation, is that a reflection of how it dominated the debate, or is that not quite how it went?
Well, certainly the debate started on that topic, and it kept coming up again and again because it is the most important issue facing the United States. And I think there's two things about that. The first is that, you know, when you compare Canada and the United States, for example, it clearly shows that there are countries that can deal with this coronavirus relatively better and relatively worse. And that perhaps does have something to do with the leadership of the United States. But the second point is that whatever the truth of that debate is, when, as the incumbent, you are stuck saying, okay, things are really bad, but it's not my fault, that is never a particularly good look, and it's always a pretty uphill position to be starting from. So the focus that the debate did have on the coronavirus, I think, will have made it harder for Trump to make up terrain in this debate.
Last question to all of you, very briefly, and Yasha, we'll start with you. What makes you stare at the ceiling at night about this polarized election? And, you know, don't tell me you sleep like babies, because it's 2020 and no one sleeps well. Yasha?
Well, it's very late here in Italy, so I will sleep like a baby after this segment. But I think what really worries me is the extent to which voters, both on the Republican side and the Democratic side, say, if the person on the other side wins, that can only be because the election was fraudulent. And the increasing extent to which a minority of voters on both sides say, actually, political violence is a decent way of achieving our objectives. So I'm hoping for a very clear political result on November the 3rd, for no contestation of the result, and hopefully for a peaceful acceptance of that result.
Okay, apologies for this. We need one sentence from each of you. We're running out of time. Danielle?
I just want everybody's vote to be counted, and that's what keeps me up at night.
Okay, and Daniel?
I sleep soundly because I know American politics has always been contentious, all the way back to 1800 with John Adams versus Thomas Jefferson.
All right, you are all wonderful. Daniel McCarthy, Danielle Moody, and Yasha Monk. There are new details tonight about the attempts by Iran and Russia to meddle with this election by sending threatening emails to U.S. voters.
Our intelligence community has now warned the American people of that. They are trying to sow chaos. We can't allow them to do that.
Reuters reported today that security analysts in the U.S. were able to track down the hacking because of mistakes made in a video attached to some of the messages. Investigators noticed snippets of revealing computer code traced back to previous Iranian hacking activity.
Well, next, we'll tackle the rest of the day's news, including an exclusive look at the state of Ontario's long-term care homes in the lead up to the pandemic.
I walk towards her room and I can smell the bed sore. It's that bad.
Are nursing homes above the law? A marketplace investigation.
Alberta pilots a project at the border that could shorten the quarantine time.
This pivot is a health and science-based approach that all Canadian aviation have been waiting for.
And why some experts are second-guessing how long you can be in contact with someone with COVID-19. We're back in 2. Well, one day after surviving a non-confidence vote, the Liberal government is facing a new challenge. The Conservatives are proposing another committee to examine the handling of the pandemic. Salima Shivji walks us through it.
Deputy Prime Minister, how are you doing today?
The dust barely settled, and here we are again.
The motion before the House today.
The opposition Conservatives with another sweeping motion calling for extensive information on how the Liberal government has responded to this crisis from day one, from buying PPE to approving rapid tests.
Canadians want answers. Will the Deputy Prime Minister put the health of Canadians first and vote with us for a health committee study on COVID-19?
A motion that irks the ruling Liberals. They say the opposition is asking for sensitive information, and such a wide-reaching request will tie up government officials.
Our civil servants, our staff members who have been working day and night around the clock.
The positions in the House clearly drawn, the Conservatives pushing for answers, the Liberals digging in. The NDP backed into a corner, really not wanting an election, with everyone accusing everyone else of playing games.
They were posturing and really going to the edge in brinkmanship to try to find a way to go to an election and blame the opposition.
This is the very principle of an us-stage issue. This is what they do.
The Liberals say they don't see this motion as a confidence vote, so the life of this parliament doesn't hang in the balance this time. But some say get used to it. This is simply a return to minority rules after a break imposed by the initial urgency of COVID-19.
And if we all cast our minds back to the years of Stephen Harper's Conservative minority, this type of thing was happening all the time, and everyone was in a heightened state of chronic, will it be today? Will it be tomorrow?
But there may be a danger for the Liberals in overplaying their hand, forcing the possibility of an election too often or seeming too eager for one may backfire with voters trying to adjust to life in a pandemic. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, there is some new data on COVID-19 that should make us all sit up and take notice. Canada recorded nearly 2,800 new cases today, which, depending on how you tally cases across provinces, could be a record high. Quebec's the biggest part of that, more than 1,000 new cases again today. Ontario added 841, but look out west. Alberta set a record with 427 new cases, and British Columbia also a record high, 274. That has BC's provincial health officer warning new measures may be on the way.
We will use all the tools that are available, whether that is conditions tied to wedding licenses, restrictions on numbers in indoor gatherings.
Dr. Henry said transmission from gatherings such as weddings and funerals are spilling over to other parts of the community. She said these events need to be as small as possible with a maximum of 6 people. Alberta is postponing non-urgent surgeries and some outpatient services in Edmonton.
AHS is taking these measures to ensure that we are able to provide care to those who most need it.
Dr. Hinshaw said she's concerned with the rising number of hospitalizations in the capital region. More than half of people being treated in hospitals in the province are in the Edmonton area. In Manitoba today, 147 new cases and more deaths at a long-term care home in Winnipeg. It is the province's deadliest outbreak yet at such a facility. Cameron McIntosh tells us just how bad things are behind those walls.
14 deaths and more than 100 infections. Winnipeg's Parkview Place is Manitoba's largest COVID cluster. A weekend inspection found it struggling with cleanliness and understaffing. For now, the province won't intervene.
We don't have any immediate plans for me to order any place to be taken over.
Prior to the pandemic, Parkview Place, owned by Mississauga-based Rivera, was found to have problems including filthy bathrooms and cockroaches. It was given until December to fix them.
It's heartbreaking.
Jeanette Sabourin says the pandemic has only made matters worse. She's pulled her father from care.
The day-to-day stuff isn't being met, like ensuring patients or residents have their own clothes on or their glasses on. Then how are they handling the COVID?
And saying it's not as bad as other places doesn't make me feel any better.
Yesterday, the Premier declined to say whether he would feel comfortable having a loved one in care there.
We're doing everything we can to address these issues, and we'll continue to. These are precious, precious people.
Given the care home crises in Ontario and Quebec, experts say Manitoba should have seen this coming.
So how was that home going to fare particularly well going into this outbreak when it has a record of not being a high performer only a few months ago?
Roussin says he's confident in the province's regulations. It's up to the owner and health authority to ensure they're followed.
There will be lessons learned, but we also know that the safeguards we have in place right now can protect people.
Both the company and the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority, which has oversight, declined interviews, saying they're working to contain the outbreak, which has now killed 14 people. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, tonight we have exclusive details on the state of Ontario's long-term care homes, even before COVID-19 struck. A CBC Marketplace investigation reveals that nursing homes broke the law 30,000 times over 5 years for things like abuse, neglect, medication errors, and much more. As a result, families faced consequences, but for the homes themselves, it's a very different story. David Conman explains.
No, I think it's perfect. Yep. Well, that's what she wanted, right?
Sparky Johnson and Sherry Chernitsky are plagued by a question. Should their Aunt Bev still be alive? On her first day in a nursing home, staff identified a hot spot on her back.
The skin's not broken, but it's red, and it could turn into something if we don't take care of it.
But that home had a long history of skin care and infection control failures, as well as repeated abuse findings by government inspectors. And even though the home knew about Bev's hot spot, it got worse.
I walk towards her room and I can smell the bed sore. It's that bad. And he goes, it's down to the bone.
She would die soon after. Inspectors wrote a scathing report in response, but the home faced no consequences.
They get written up with notices to change their behavior, how they'll do it better next time.
Breaking the law has become routine in Ontario's homes, 30,000 instances over 5 years. And for the most serious offences, 85% of Ontario's homes have repeated the same violation year after year. Rebecca DeWitt was a government inspector for 3 years.
Did you ever go and lay charges against a home?
No,
Because
I didn't have the power.
virtually none have ever faced any repercussion.
So how can you expect a sector to change if there aren't repercussions when the most serious things happen repeatedly?
We asked Ontario's Minister of Long-Term Care.
There's no tolerance whatsoever for negligence or abuse, and they must be dealt with in a fulsome way through the legal system. No doubt about that.
But there are still many questions for Johnson and Chernitsky, worried now their aunt's death won't even prompt change. David Common, CBC News, Newcastle, Ontario.
And on Friday night, Marketplace continues its fight for answers on the crisis in our care homes. Watch the full story. Are nursing homes above the law at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 in Newfoundland and Labrador. Well, travelers arriving in Canada through Alberta will soon get more than just a friendly hello. They'll have the option of being tested for COVID-19 at the border. It's a pilot project that could shorten the mandatory 14-day quarantine. Carolyn Dunn explains.
There were fewer than a dozen passengers on today's Dallas to Calgary flight. Juan Lopez knows one reason. The Texan will be seeing his Canadian wife for the first time in 7 months. But with isolation, he won't be getting too close.
It's like 14 days, you got to kind of keep yourself separated with the mask on. And then I got a couple days before I have to go back to Texas and back to work.
But a new pilot project in Alberta holds some promise to fill the empty airport. Beginning in November, international passengers will have the option of taking a voluntary COVID test on arrival at Calgary's airport. And that has the potential to reduce the quarantine period from the mandatory 14 days down to as few as 2. Once a passenger tests negative, they can leave isolation, provided they agree to a second test in a week and follow guidelines.
So there will be appropriate controls to make sure that we are actually following people, understanding if they're becoming symptomatic and doing the appropriate thing of isolating them should they become symptomatic.
A recent study in Toronto of over 15,000 international passengers found 99% of them were negative for COVID. So struggling airlines are delighted at the idea of shortened isolation periods.
This pivot is a health and science-based approach that WestJet and indeed all Canadian aviation have been waiting for.
In self-isolation after a possible exposure to COVID himself, Premier Jason Kenney says it offers hope to people left jobless.
And behind every one of those jobs, there is a family who's facing uncertainty and a person who needs to pay their mortgage.
The testing study will also be available to people driving from the U.S. through the border crossing at Coutts, Alberta. Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, the U.S. has approved the antiviral drug remdesivir for treating patients hospitalized with COVID-19. It is the first and only drug approved for the disease in the United States. Until now, it's only been given to patients under an emergency authorization, patients including Donald Trump. Remdesivir has helped shorten the recovery time for some hospitalized patients. Worth noting here, Health Canada did approve the drug back in July. New findings about airborne COVID-19 droplets have the U.S. Centers for Disease Control changing the way it defines close contact. Now, to be clear, Canada has not changed its guidelines, but as Christine Birak shows us, there are doctors who think we should.
American health officials thought you could only catch this virus if you came within 2 meters of an infected person for 15 minutes straight. But a study released by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control found that's not the case.
An individual who had a series of shorter contacts, but over time added up to more than 15 minutes, became infected.
That individual was a 20-year-old prison guard. During an 8-hour shift, he wore a cloth mask. Surveillance tapes show he had short but repeated encounters with 6 asymptomatic inmates for a total of 17 minutes. While they were in their cells, inmates weren't required to wear masks. A week later, all 7 men had COVID-19. The U.S. has now changed its definition of close contact to 15 minutes of exposure, even if it's broken up. In Canada, there is no 15-minute rule, but doctors argue public health officials here should update their guidance on airborne transmission of this virus and remind Canadians that people are most infectious before they show symptoms.
I think there's a larger blind spot that I hope that public health officials in Canada will be digging into.
That includes outbreaks in gyms, restaurants, and schools, environments where tiny infectious particles may linger in the air, especially when there's poor ventilation.
We've just said the best thing to do is to stick to that 2-meter buffer.
Federal health officials say our advice remains the same. Limit time spent in closed places, crowded places, and close contact situations. Which is why Savannah Downs feels there should be fewer kids in classrooms.
I did not feel confident sending him back to school with the information that we were given.
Be it a school or a prison, when you don't know who's sick, less close contact is best. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, next, new insight tonight into how police cracked the Christine Jessop cold case.
Calvin Hoover is the only person in the world that would forensically link to that extent.
Why police are so sure they've found the man who murdered the little girl. A CBC News exclusive. Welcome back. Last week, Toronto police announced a break in a decades-old cold case, identifying Calvin Hoover as the killer of 9-year-old Christine Jessop. New DNA technology was key, but we're learning more about just how complex a task that really was. Here's Thomas Daigle with a CBC News investigation.
Buried deep in the archives of the Ontario coroner was the key that unlocked a 36-year-old mystery. Calvin Hoover's blood sample, stored since his own autopsy in 2015. Police didn't realize its connection to the DNA found on Christine Jessop's underwear after she was murdered until months of genetic work revealed the link, with some details not reported until now.
We had about 6 people working for 6 months on making this identification. It was a little bit more difficult than we expected. Differences on either end.
Forensic genealogist Anthony Redgrave says it took him 6 months to fill in the killer's family tree. His work displayed here in what's known as a dendrograph, shared exclusively with CBC News. All those boxes indicate the killer's relatives, and the purple ovals would be distant cousins, who, like millions of others curious about their family tree, had submitted DNA for private genetic testing. They all linked to the name Calvin Hoover. It was only then, with a bit of investigative luck, police realized they'd had Hoover's DNA since his death. Finally, the match that connected the dots.
Calvin Hoover is the only person in the world that would forensically link to that extent.
The same lab in Texas that did the work tells us it's assisting with other cold case investigations from Canada, at least one predating the Jessop murder.
These cases that are in the 70s and 80s, they need to be worked. They're on that edge. You go much further back in time, and generally a lot of the players aren't around anymore.
Hoover was a friend of the family. His name was in the case file all along, though what's still unclear is why police didn't view him as a suspect back then, and why it took science and all these years for investigators to give him a second look. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
In Caledonia, Ontario, there was a confrontation between the provincial police and Indigenous protesters.
OPP coming in here with these violent acts of aggression against, people that are just occupying their traditional territory.
The clash followed a court ruling that granted a permanent injunction against a camp set up by the Six Nations community to protest the construction of a housing development in the area. Police said it used appropriate force and that there were no injuries, though an investigation is underway. Still in Ontario, more than 200 evacuees from the Neskantaga First Nation arrived in Thunder Bay after water was shut down in the community earlier this week. People there have been dealing with a water crisis for decades. The federal government said today it is moving to support the community as quickly as possible. And still ahead tonight, 6 years later, the lasting trauma of the Parliament Hil shooting.
I just tried to avoid Parliament Hil.
We'll hear from two former guards who were there that day about their journey in the years after the attack.
Canada is not immune to the types of terrorist attacks we have seen elsewhere around the world.
Then Prime Minister Stephen Harper addressing the nation at the end of a terrible day 6 years ago. Parliament Hil had been under siege. A soldier gunned down while guarding the National War Memorial before the shooter ran into Centre Block, where he himself was shot and killed. Among the many heroes that day were the House of Commons security guards. But of the 30 who'd been on duty, there's been an alarming trend. More than a dozen have suffered from serious mental health problems. Our colleague Brigitte Bureau of Radio-Canada has the exclusive story and a warning some viewers may find it disturbing.
Every year on October 22nd, former House of Commons security guard Maurice Montpetit heads to the National War Memorial before making his way to Parliament Hil.
It's part of my therapy. At the beginning, I was doing it every day.
I just tried to avoid Parliament Hil.
Also a former security guard, Louis Letourneau suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's a bad place for me now.
When the gunman barged in, Letourneau says the thought of never seeing his children again made him take action.
I emptied my gun, 15 shots. I hit him so many times. I don't know how many times I hit him.
Le Constable Louis Letourneau.
He received a medal for the courage he displayed, but the ordeal left him with recurring flashbacks, including the moment of the shooter's death.
When I see him on the ground with the blood coming out and all that, those are the images that always come back.
I still have dreams.
On the day of the shooting, Maurice Montpetit, shown here, spent hours protecting and comforting terrified MPs. In the years after, he says Shaken Hill employees constantly talked to him about the attack.
I was comforting them and reassuring them. I wasn't trained to be a therapist.
It finally got the better of him.
I felt I was totally out of control. I finished my day, and when I closed the House of Commons, I cried. I wasn't coming back the following day.
Out of some 30 House of Commons security guards who were in the Parliament building when the shooting occurred, Radio-Canada was able to identify at least 13 who suffered serious psychological problems. One of them took his own life more than 3 years after the attack. According to his sister, he was never the same after the events. Following the shooting, the rocky implementation of the new Parliamentary Protective Service under the RCMP amplified the already high level of stress, according to many sources. Maurice Montpetit and Louis Letourneau say they are learning to cope with the events thanks to professional help.
It saved my life. If you don't get that help, you might lose everything, even your life.
Brigitte Bureau, Radio-Canada, Ottawa.
We have much more ahead on the National, including an unlikely garden oasis in Yellowknife.
Here along the edge, we have kale and Swiss chard.
She transformed an abandoned parking lot to do her part for the environment, food security, and her community.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's Daily News podcast Front Burner, a full wrap on the last presidential debate before the U.S. goes to the polls next month. Could it move the needle for Trump? Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Pandemic gardening was a real force this spring, with people spending so much time at home and food security a concern. But long before that, a farmer in Yellowknife, of all places, had an idea that became a plan and now a bounty. The CBC's Kate Kyle explains.
Just some of the sights you would expect to see in an industrial area in any city, but likely not this or this.
So here along the edge we have kale and Swiss chard.
France Benoit is proving you can grow food just about anywhere. This is Yellowknife's largest urban farm. 5,000 square feet of paradise that used to be a parking lot.
We can't just wait to develop agriculture in the north, waiting for big prairie fields and 100,000 acres. It's not going to happen. So what can we do with what we got?
Benoit describes herself as a self-taught farmer. She got into gardening through a roommate 25 years ago. That interest bloomed into an off-grid farm outside of Yellowknife called Le Refuge.
And for me, farming or, backyard gardening on a heavy, with a heavy passion, became the way that I was going to solve all of those environmental crises. So I thought that is something that I can do. I can learn.
Last year, she sold that farm, her car, and moved to the city, bringing her love of farming with her.
This location is an awful lot of truckloads of soil.
20 to 30 tons of soil later, chicken manure permits, soil and water tests. Benoit started planting. The pandemic motivated her to move faster.
For me, it's food security. I'm not just growing carrots. I'm feeding people.
Teaching them too.
I saw the vision, but it was a bit challenging when you come to the site. Yeah, I think people assume that you can't grow food here like you can in the south. It's important for people to see that it's possible.
The first harvest included 350 pounds of potatoes. Benoit had help digging them out of the ground.
Well, I think it's kind of cool on how she turned it into a farming area that she can grow plants instead of cars parking.
I want my kids to see that it's fun, that it brings community together.
There we go.
For Benoit, the payoff is seeing the farm through others' eyes.
To see them mesmerized and puzzled and surprised is a great reward for me.
Benoit hopes this unusual farm inspires others to pick up a shovel and start planting. Kate Kyle, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Up next, you might remember the Nova Scotia pilot who a few months ago painted pictures in the sky with his plane. Well, now he's helping lift a child's spirit in a very special way. Next.
I went on the webpage. It says right there, Rankin Inlet, gateway to the north. Now that I'm here, what do you mean gateway? This area is frozen so much of the year, you have a pedestrian crossing sign next to your lake. Surely to God we are north.
For breaking news and COVID-19 updates, CBC News Network is now in free preview. Contact your local television service provider for more information.
Well, you might not remember the name Dimitri Neonakis, but you likely remember this image. Dimitri is a pilot who used a GPS tracker to fly the path of a heart around Portapique, Nova Scotia, after the horrific shootings back in April. Now he's lifting spirits once again, giving 4-year-old Maverick Bishop a very special ride to his 4th heart surgery. Maverick was a bit scared about the surgery, totally understandably, but seems that special flight turned what would have been a nerve-wracking experience into something exhilarating. And the pilot's perspective is our moment.
Maverick is an incredible little fighter. He needed his 4th operation, and this is a very crucial operation. He's 4 years old. I know his dad, Woodrow. They live in Prince Edward Island. I want Uncle D, he calls me Uncle D, to fly to Halifax for my operation. I could see how excited he was. He was so excited that he was flying the airplane with me. This little kid had no fear. When I got the suitcases out of the baggage compartment of the aircraft, I tried to help him with his suitcase, and he wouldn't let me. So he grabbed his suitcase, put it in the trunk, and then he said to me, I am ready now to go to the hospital and for the doctors to fix my heart. His determination, it just stunned me. And I cannot wait to fly with him again.
Wow. So Dimitri says that Maverick's dad says, firstly, most importantly, he's doing okay?
Right.
The surgery was like some 12 hours long. His heart was stopped for 2.5 hours. He's in ICU. He needs as many thoughts as people can offer, but so far he's okay.
Yeah, well, no kidding. That's amazing news. And you heard Dimitri say that he can't wait until he gets to fly with him again. He's already said once he's out of hospital, once he's safe, he's going to fly him right back home. And with a name like Maverick Bishop,
yeah, no kidding.
A lot of plane rides to come. That's the National for this October 22nd. Have a great night.
Good night.